called the most talked about neighborhood in Waco, and it's all for good reasons. This winter, Creekside Community Village will be home to 40 individuals facing homelessness in McLennan County. Mission Waco is the nonprofit helping with this effort, and now they're entering the podcast world to highlight the development of this upcoming community. Joining me now to share more is John Calloway, the podcast host of It Takes a Village with Creekside. John, thank you for what you do. We're so glad you're here today.
Yeah, so glad I could come and share a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, for people who are curious, take us back to when this project started, when it was just an idea. How did it come about?
Yeah, great question. About 2021, we started to see a lot of these low budget, low income motels start to disappear in our community. And of course, we've seen rising housing prices for many, many years. And so we also started to see a lot of our folks that were coming through our services, through our shelter, just really not be able to find an affordable place in town. And so we surveyed models across the country and had a few key donors come alongside and say, hey, we just can't sit idly by and not do something about this affordable housing crisis for our folks that are trying to exit homelessness. And so Creekside Community Village wasn't called that then, but slowly but surely God began to just pull the pieces together, and we found property, and the rest is history.
Where's that property?
It's 68 acres off of University Parks Drive, past the Farrell Center, between the Farrell Center and Highway 6.
For those who aren't familiar with how great or the magnitude of the problem, do you have any numbers for us, any statistics for Waco and McLennan County?
Sure. If you've been in Waco for a long time, you know a lot of these statistics. We have about a 27% poverty rate, which is twice the rate than the average city in Texas. In 2023, we saw the homeless population increase 25%. So we noticed that it was a growing problem, a growing challenge, that if we didn't do something now, we were afraid it was just going to continue to grow because housing isn't getting any cheaper. And so that's why we couldn't just sit back, another 5 years or 10 years. We said, we've got to do this now.
What are some of the most common misconceptions surrounding people facing homelessness?
Yeah, the leading cause of homelessness is this profound, catastrophic loss of family, which is why housing alone is not going to solve homelessness for an individual, but community will. And so this housing project is not just about 346 homes, which is what we'll have in full capacity, but it's about creating community where people not just get lifted off the streets, but they permanently remain off the streets in this supportive community.
Okay, so the master plan, we were talking earlier about the location, 68 acres, more than 300 homes. What's the mission in this village?
It's to create community for folks that are exiting homelessness, to create community where they find family, where they find resources, where they are plugged in there to, and held accountable to go to a primary care physician, to get plugged into counseling, to stay on their medication, but also just to live among other folks that are having similar struggles, but also to have folks that are on the property who are living there who are not coming out of homelessness. It's a mixed income development. It's a model that's mixed income because we believe that's more healthy and more sustainable long term. A lot of folks think it's just a group of homeless folks. And while some of that's true, about 20 to 30% of the folks who live on site will be those that aren't and haven't experienced homelessness before.
Well, maybe people in Waco and beyond can get a better idea of these stories of more on the topics on this podcast
That's
is
correct.
Coming out. So the mission will be outlined there. It's called It Takes a Village with Creekside. Who are some of your guests and kind of what's the format of this?
We've had just a handful of episodes thus far. We started with our founder, Jimmy Dorrell, who is a part of our leadership team and helping make this come to fruition. But we've had pastors. We just had 2 co-pastors from Mosaic Church who gave $100,000 towards the project. We had 3 teenage students and their youth director who were from a church in Connecticut that came all the way down. They raised enough money to buy 3 homes at $50,000 apiece. Wow. And so they raised $150,000, and then they came down for a week, and those teenagers built those 3 homes that are now on site.
And they're from Connecticut.
And they're from Connecticut, and they could have
what
been.
Is that tie
they could have been doing all
Wow.
kinds of things in their spring break, but instead they chose. There was 100 of them. They chose to fly all the way to Waco to build 3 homes for somebody who's coming out of homelessness.
Where are we with the timeline on this project?
So we're about finished with all the wastewater and the water. Very soon, Bowen Electric and Encore will come in and do all the site electric. And so by the end of the summer, early fall, we hope to start doing the final grading, and then roads, parking lots, and of course all the foundations for the homes that'll start going in. You'll start to see by the end of the summer a lot of the homes on site. We'll then connect those, and even now we're almost complete. We have about another 6 weeks worth of finishing the community kitchen and the wash house that we have on site as well.
What are your greatest needs right now as far as immediate needs if people are watching this and they want to know how they can help you?
Well, if you're from the faith community, prayer is the most important thing we need. I think secondly behind that, we have 6 homes left that we need funded at about $50,000 a home. Now, maybe you're watching this, you think, I can't give $50,000, but could you give $500? Could you give $1,000? Because that would go towards a home and towards that $50,000. And as a community, if we're all giving, then we'll be able to solve those 6 homes and get them funded, I think, pretty easily.
Okay, this may be a tough question, but have you faced any pushback with this community? And for any of that you have faced, what do you say to those folks?
You know, the biggest pushback is really just the old argument of, well, if they build it, if you build it, they will come, meaning we'll increase our homeless population. What I say to that is we've had incredible resources in our community for decades. And so if that was true, then our homeless population would have been increasing over the years. What we've actually found is since 2005, our homeless population overall has decreased 60%. So providing a variety of services and collaborative partnerships, that addresses the permanent issue of homelessness. And so with permanent housing, we're going to see just another way to partner with so many other great people in town to continue to see that population grow down. So, but in 2023, when it rose 25%, it was not on the downward trajectory, and that's largely due because of the lack of permanent housing. And so adding this will get those numbers back down.
Okay, well, thank you. Again, you can listen to It Takes a Village with Creekside anywhere you get your podcasts. All you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen right now to learn more information. John, thanks for being here and for all you do in our community.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.